is anybody else excited to celebrate Jesus this Sunday morning right here in church? Come on, can you make some noise for Jesus this morning? Yeah. So excited, and Merry Christmas yet again. I'm excited to celebrate the moment where Jesus inserted himself into our story. That's why we get really excited, because without Christmas, there is no Easter. Without Easter, there is no forgiveness of sins. And so we get pretty excited around here, and I'm so glad to just be celebrating Jesus with you at the Christmas time together. And we'll get more into that in just a moment, but before I go there, I want to look right in the camera. Welcome all of you joining us on the other sides of computer screens and phones. So glad that no matter where you are, if you're traveling right now for the holidays, or you're just not able to be with us in person, that you can still be along for the ride. And I can't move on without just getting excited about the video that you just saw, the legacy giving that you have done. Just absolutely amazing this week to be the hands and feet of Jesus through your generosity this week. It's been a blast to just witness all of the incredible things that God is able to do through you. If you're new to Five Stones and you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, once a year we give above and beyond our normal giving, and we take that whole offering and we just give it away. And so we have been able to do some really, truly incredible things right here locally. You saw that, some mission partners that are helping people struggling and people that are hurting in our area. We were able to bless those great ministries that are doing incredible things and just be partners with them. But not just here locally. You saw that we have some ministry partners that we are working with nationally. So some church planters. And you saw that you're giving in your church planting to create churches all over the United States. But I got really excited because we can't show you everything that we've been doing. The video would take too long. But one of my favorite stories that we got to do with our giving this year happened with church planters. We found 2 young church planters that just gave it all up for the mission of God. And so they have sold their homes, and they're living on the proceeds of that right now, waiting on the church to get launched. Another couple are down to 1 income, and her income is the only income in the household, but she's about to give birth, and so they had to do without that income. And so right now, as they're trying to launch a church, very challenging situations, but because of your generosity, we're not just helping them launch a church, we actually were able to bless their families with money to buy presents for Christmas. And they were so moved. One pastor replied back to me, and he said, Pastor, the generosity of your church, when I shared it with my wife, she screamed loudly from the kitchen. And so thank you so much for making good screams this year. I'm just excited about God, what he's doing through your generosity. And you're just getting a picture of everything that we're able to do to bless people all around, not just locally and nationally, even internationally. You saw that in Mexico, and now a door is opened up to us that we'll be launching a mission trip in the new year in India. And I don't know if you heard her say that, but she said, your giving has made it possible so that we can tell people about Jesus who have never heard about Christmas. Isn't that incredible? Like, it's hard for us to wrap our minds around that fact, because when we think about Christmas, it's like all around us. We're inundated with Christmas right now. I cannot leave my house without getting into Christmas traffic somewhere. You know what I mean? It's everywhere. The decorations, the trees, the ornaments, the sales. I mean, like we are inundated with Christmas. So trying to wrap our minds around the fact that somebody hasn't heard about Christmas is pretty challenging. Like, I love the whole season. Love the music and the songs and the music and the movies and the food, the whole thing. I get into the whole thing. The Christmas lights. Have you seen the Christmas lights? Anybody got out there and looked at Christmas lights? Yeah, us too. We like to do that. Our family likes to jump out there and try and find the Christmas lights. And you know, there's a couple of different philosophies when it comes to Christmas lights. Have you seen that? Like the one philosophy is you look at the house and it looks like, I drove past one the other day and it looked like the Griswolds live there. You know what I mean? It's just like, I had to slow down because I thought, I wonder how much time it took to put all of those lights on your house. I mean, it was lining the roof. It was incredible. That's one philosophy. Then there's the other philosophy that's like basically open up a box of tangled wires and throw it at a bush. You know what I mean? You know what I'm talking about? I was driving the other day, right when I saw that one, the same day, just a couple neighborhoods later, and it looked like they opened up a box of Christmas lights and just threw it at the bush, plugged it in, and then they went out another step. They led a line over their fence and like like a quarter away up the roof. And like one half of it was flashing, you know what I'm talking about? Like it was awesome. Some of you are looking at me like, I'm feeling threatened right now. You drove by my house, And it's okay. I'm not, no shade. I mean, the lights were still shining, they're doing something there. I didn't even get a chance to put lights on my house. We got so busy this season that I didn't get a chance to put them out. But we got a tree up. We got lights on the tree. And my daughter actually put Christmas lights in the bathroom. For whatever reason you want to put Christmas lights in the bathroom, feeling festive while you're in there, or whatever, I don't know. But hey, like whenever I see Christmas lights, I'm like, especially when it's a house like that where it's like kind of partially done, I'm not throwing shade because it just screams like there's a mom or dad there going, hey, listen, I'm just trying to survive Christmas, okay? You got some kid that's hassling me, put the lights on. And so look, they're on there, okay? If you want it any better, get a ladder, And so I'm not throwing any shade on that. At least they got some lights up on there. And it's interesting that we still do these lights. Like, you ever wonder that? Like, why do we do the Christmas lights? Why is it that we do Christmas lights in the first place? Like, I think there's a lot of reasons why we continue doing it. It's kind of like a tradition, and it's a nice thing that we do this time of year. And it's not really even just in the United States, right? Like if you were to go to Japan right now, they have Christmas lights put out in Japan. If you went to Brazil, they've got lights out in Brazil. Anywhere you go. In fact, I've got family that's spending Christmas in Italy. Yeah, pray for them. They're just suffering for Jesus in Milan. But while they're out there, they're sending videos back. And you know what? In the video is Christmas lights. They've got Christmas lights everywhere. And it's interesting to me that we do this and we keep using these Christmas lights over and over again. I think there's a lot of reasons why we continue to do it today. But I think the original reason why this got its start has to do with Jesus. Because he was called the light of the world. That's what they called him. It's one of the titles that he has, that he came to be the light of the world. In fact, when he was born to Mary and Joseph in Bethlehem, all those thousands of years, when he came, the prophets had already been looking for him. And they had looked hundreds of years. They were looking for the Messiah. And now we get to look backwards at this moment in time that shifted everything, that split time in two. And those prophets were looking for Jesus to come. They called him Emmanuel, which means God with us. That he would be the light bringer, that he would bring light, that he would bring the light of the world to us. And they were looking there trying to find the moment when our God would come and split the darkness wide open. That's exactly what he did. I love the words of 1 John where he says this, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He's talking about Jesus. He says Jesus was the light right off the top. It says he was with God in the beginning. Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of all mankind. Watch this. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness cannot overcome, has not and will not overcome it. That's the most incredible thing, that he was the light of mankind. Let that sink into your soul this Christmas, that he's the light for us. The Message actually calls him the life light. That's a cool title to me, that Jesus is the life light. And I love that about our God, that he is blazing this light forward thousands of years later into the darkness. And unlike some of the lights that you have at Christmas, no darkness can extinguish his light. You'll unplug your Christmas lights this year, and if you're real redneck, you'll just leave them up there for next year. Right? Those lights will be extinguished, right? You can turn off the lights in this room, but the light of Jesus Christ will never be overcome. It is impossible to extinguish that light. That's incredible to me. I love that his light can't be put out because his light is so powerful. It's interesting that God chose this light to display himself in this way because we have an interesting relationship with light, don't we? Like with light does a number of different things. One of the things that light does is it brings clarity. Have you ever noticed that? That light can bring clarity to a situation? That's in your notes. You could write that down. Number one, that light brings clarity. See, light will make things visible that are not visible normally. You ever tried walking around in a dark room? You know what I'm talking about? Like when you go into a dark room, if the room is completely dark, you walk differently in the darkness than you do the light, right? You put your hands out, right? You take smaller steps, you know what I mean? Your eyes open up really wide. Scientists will tell you that because subconsciously what you're trying to do is take in more light. Because the way God designed your eye to work is that light bounces off of things and it enters into your eyes so that you can see. And so your eyes try to get wider. You take smaller steps to guard your pinky toe. You know what I'm talking about? It only takes one good time of banging that bad boy against the coffee table to make you take smaller steps. We walk differently in the darkness than we do the light. And the light at Christmas that we think about is this moment where Jesus decided, hey, what I'm going to do is I'm going to insert myself in your story. I'm going to bring light to your darkness. That's really pivotal to us because maybe this time of year is really exciting time and you love Christmas and it's fa la 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 and all that good stuff. Or maybe, just maybe, you're here and it's a challenging time. It's a difficult time. Sometimes Christmas isn't all merry and bright because maybe you lost someone. Or maybe you lost hope. And in this season, or maybe it's just for personal reasons. Right now, it's just a difficult time for you. And even though you want to be singing the Christmas carols and looking at the Christmas lights, it's just challenging to you. But I want you to hear me right now. Jesus' light is stronger than any darkness you're facing. And if you're here today and you're facing a dark period of your life, his light can shine through that darkness just like it did 2,000 years ago. It can pierce the darkest moment of your life and he can offer you hope. That's what he came to do, to bring light into your darkness. I love this, that the prophet said it this way in Isaiah in chapter 9. It said, the people walking in darkness have seen a great light. On those living in the land of deep darkness, a light has dawned. See, what's incredible is that light is not just something that happened thousands of years ago. That's real and active, alive today. He came so that you could see. You could see what is necessary. See, without light, you can't see, and without sight, you can't change. That's why his light is here. He wants you to see that there's some things that he brings to you hope, that it doesn't have to stay the way that it was. And if you're in darkness, you can't see that. Sometimes we live in darkness. Sometimes we get surrounded by and shadowed by darkness for so long that the light can be painful when it's turned on. You ever turn the lights on when it's really dark? Your eyes react to that, right? And it's a painful moment. God's light changes things. Sometimes people ask me, well, PT, why is it that if God changed all this stuff, why am I still facing all these problems? Why does this world have all of these problems if that's true? Well, here's what I like to say. God didn't come to fix our problems. He came to fix us in the middle of our problems. And he brought his light, and his light makes it possible that I can see now. That's the first thing that light does. Here's the second thing it does. Light guides us. Because it's important that we see, but really just making something visible doesn't really help unless I'm guided. And the light of God will guide me to where I need to be. It helps me find where I'm supposed to be. Am I the only person that walks out of the store and completely loses your car? No, I'm the only one that's going to admit it, though, apparently. You ever walk out of the store and completely lose your car? That happened to me last week. I came out of the store, and I was like, where the heck did I park? Is it row 1 or row 2? Was it by that big tree, or was that last year? You know what I'm talking about? Like, I couldn't find it. I don't know. That's like mall timers, I think is what they call that. I was completely lost, and then I remembered I intentionally parked under a light, because the light was there shining and it guided me to my car. That's how the light of God works, is that it guides you. It doesn't just make things visible, it actually guides you. This is why Jesus said it this way. He said, I'm the light of the world. I'm the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but they'll have the light of life. See, he's not just illuminating a path. He's trying to get you this light that will navigate with confidence the difficulty that you have in this life. Because light doesn't just bring clarity, and light doesn't just guide you. Here's the third thing it does. It reveals what's hidden. If you've been in the darkness for a while, you can be guaranteed that you have some hidden things in your life if you're walking around in darkness. Let me just tell you something this morning. The only thing that grows in the darkness that is gross stuff. Slime and mold and fungus, right? That's the stuff that wants to grow in the darkness. And God says, I want you to get out of the darkness and step into the light. He wants to get you into the light so he can show some things about you that need to shift and change. He doesn't want you living that way. Let me just tell you some hope this morning. You might be living in darkness and may have lived in darkness for a while, going through the same issues and the same problems over and over and over. And God says, I want to get you out of that. I want to shine a light on that issue so that you can get out of that and you don't have to live like that anymore. That's what the light of God does. You ever looked at one of those mirrored lights? My wife has one of those magnifying mirrored lights. She has it on the bathroom wall, or on her mirror in the bathroom. That sucker, you ever look at one of those things? Like that'll tell you more about yourself than your 8-year-old daughter. You know, like when you look in one of those things, I felt pretty good about my life until I looked in one of those. And it's like, it took every pore, every blemish of my life. It was just in super ultra HD with Dolby surround sound, you know? I'm like, when I looked in that thing and it pointed out some things about me that nobody needs to see. And that's the kind of light, like God's light, let me just help you here. God's light never exposes you to humiliate you. That's not what God wants to do. If you've been living in the darkness for a while, away from his light, what he wants to do is reveal some things to you. He wants to show some things to you. Let me dispel a lie today using God's light. He's not distant. Sometimes the darkness will lie to you and tell you, well, God doesn't care about what's going on in your life. If God cared, you wouldn't be going through these things. Let me tell you something. God is not a distant God. He's not some far-off God that is waiting for you to get it all together and waiting for you to get it all perfect so then maybe you'll garner his attention and he'll show up. God is not some far-off, distant God that is so far away. No, Christmas is a reminder that the light of God is near us. And it's just not just near us, it's all around us, and it can be inside of us. That's what Christmas is all about, is recognizing that God was thinking about you long before you were ever born. Think about that. Thousands of years before you were even a reality, you were on his mind. He planned for you. He purposed for you. He had a thought about you. He knew that you would be here. He knew maybe even possibly that you'd be feeling lonely today. The Christmas time, in the Christmas season, sometimes I think about single adults and I think about how isolating that can be. You might be a single adult here and your family's spread around the country or whatever. You don't have family and you don't feel like inviting yourself over to your married friend's house where they have kids. And so as a result, you end up just staying by yourself and doing Christmas with takeout one morning, you know. And when you do like that, when you're sitting there by yourself, you start pondering some deeper questions like, man, why am I here? Like, what's going on in my life? Am I feeling fulfilled? Am I really happy? Does God actually care that I'm around? And so I just want to tell you this morning that if you find yourself by yourself on Christmas morning, you're not alone. You don't have to be. You don't have to be alone on Christmas Day. You don't have to be alone, not for 1 minute, because the light of God pierces through the darkness and says, I'll never leave you, fail you, nor forsake you. You may feel by yourself, but you'll never have to be alone. See, that's what the darkness does. The darkness is creepy. It's sneaky. It creeps in and it tries to tell you these things, that you're not good enough and you'll always be that way. But the light is dynamic. See, light is incredible. In a little while, we're going to turn off all the lights. We're going to try and make it as dark as we can in here. If we could make it completely pitch black, and I only had one little light, then it wouldn't truly be dark in here. Like it would be dark everywhere else except for around this light, because this light has a dynamic ability to push back the darkness. That's what the light of God does. It can push back the darkness. It can keep you from feeling like the weight of the world is closing in on me. The light of the world reveals the truth. It shows you through the lies. It lights up the darkness. And the darkness tries to give you these misunderstandings and half-truths and lies that you'll always be like that. You're always going to be in that addiction. You're always going to be the hurt one, the broken one, the one that nobody understands. You're always going to be the one that is just isolated and alone. That I'm going to have those tendencies. I'm going to be just like my dad. I'm going to be just like my mom, because I've always been that way and I'll always be that way. See, that's what the darkness does. It tries to get you to believe that you're just your mistakes, that you're just a sum total of the things that you've messed up. Let me tell you something today. You are not what you have done. You are not even what you will do. God has blessed you with the light to say, I see you in your dark place, and I can change that for you. That baby that was born on that eternal night, the day that everything shifted and changed, was a proclamation from heaven. It was a declaration from the Eternal One saying, you don't have to stay like that, because the hope of the world has now been born in a manger that started off just like you. That's what we're celebrating today. All kinds of faiths and all kinds of religions have their gods, and you can work hard enough to get his attention, but our God is not some distant God. What we celebrate today is not some God that was thousands of years ago, some dead God. No, I'm talking about a God that put himself in your place, that felt what you feel, that allowed himself to experience all of the pain that you experience, the tragedy, the agony, the feeling of what it's like to be alone when all of your friends abandon you. Jesus knew exactly what that's like. The temptation, the agony, the loss. He became familiar to all of those things. He took it upon himself. He put all of that on himself so that he could be with you and that you could be reconciled to God forever. That's the point of Christmas. And ever since that sacrifice, his light shines. It blazes through the generations over generations, saying, you're not what you've done. You're not even what you will do. You're who I say you are. And can I tell you what God says you are? He says you're a child of God. You're loved. You're seen. I've seen you in the middle of your darkness. I seen you in the middle of your worst day, the day you hope no one ever finds out about. The secret places that are in the back of your mind, and you say, man, if they knew about that, God said, I saw that. I was there in the middle of it, trying to get you to stop, and I want you to know that even despite the fact that I saw you in the middle of that terrible moment, that's the moment that God says, that's mine. I can't wait to die for that one. That's what the story of Christmas is, that he's inserted himself into your story. I love the words of 2 Corinthians chapter 5 that says, God made him who had no sin to be sin for us, so that in him we might become the righteousness of God. He became your mistake. He became your pain, your loss, your tragedy, your selfishness, your shortcomings. He became all of that so that you could finally be made right with God eternally and forever. He's the light of the world that's blazing at Christmas. That's what we celebrate. He's reminding us of who you are, and certainly reminding us of who he is. It's an incredible moment that we get to celebrate this moment in time where God says, man, I found you. I saw you in the middle of that, and I came for you. I inserted that light so you can have hope again. One of the most incredible titles of God, other than light of the world, is Father. And the story of Christmas is a father in an incredible pursuit of a child, that he would literally stop at nothing to get to you. And maybe this Christmas you feel alone. Science will tell us this culture is bizarre. We live in a technological age where we're simultaneously more connected than ever before and more disconnected than ever. And you might find yourself in this moment feeling like, man, does anybody see me? I feel like I'm alone. Or maybe you're gripped not just with loneliness, but with the inadequacy of humanity that plagues us all. I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not wise enough. I don't have enough. I'll never be enough. And maybe you find yourself thinking in this moment that I'm not connected enough. I'll never be what I need to be. Does God really actually have a purpose for me? The answer is yes. It's absolutely yes, because thousands of years ago, you were on his mind when he put himself into your story. When he inserted himself, he was telling you he loves you.